Just take a moment and think about what's been going on in the past few weeks. The US struck Iran, Alligator Alcatraz made its appearance, the big beautiful bill just became law, and Elon Musk announced his own America Party. I mean, the madness just doesn't stop. But you know what? Let's take a break from all of that for a bit. I mean, seriously, forget all about it. Grab your favorite drink or snack and make yourself comfortable, and let's go back about, 15 years, right to Barack Obama's first presidential term. Oh, and yeah, no Donald Trump today. I mean, can you really believe it? All right, let's look back with no bias, no emotion, and here's the plan. I'm gonna ask AI to break down Obama's first term in detail, figure out what his best and worst moves were, and finally give his presidency an honest score from 0 to 10. That's pretty much it. So, feel free to drop your own score in the comments right now and predict what you think it's gonna say. Don't just post the number by itself because YouTube might end up blocking that, thinking it's spam. Just add a quick reason so that the comment actually gets posted. And let me know in the comments if you want more videos like this. If this one does well, we'll definitely do more breakdowns of past presidents or other political figures. Just let me know who you want us to rate next. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the video. And here we are. Now I want ChatGPT to pull absolutely everything on Obama's first term, just to make sure that it knows every single move he made and can give us proper analysis. It might take about 10 or even 20 minutes, so we'll just have to wait. It's crazy how time flies, you know. Anyway, the research is done and now we're ready to get started. As always, it has to be clear, straightforward, unbiased, no sugarcoating, no fluff. You know how it goes. First off, let's refresh our memory and break down Barack Obama's entire first term in detail, with ChatGPT's own thoughts along the way. Barack Obama came into office with the country in crisis. The economy was crashing, jobs were disappearing fast, and trust in the government was at rock bottom. He acted quickly with a big stimulus package to slow the freefall. It wasn't perfect, but I think it was necessary. Without that money pumped into the system, things would have gone off a cliff. He also followed through with the bank bailouts and pushed hard to save the auto industry, even though it wasn't popular. I respect that move. It wasn't about politics, it was about avoiding collapse. GM and Chrysler survived, people kept their jobs, and the Midwest economy didn't get wiped out. That's what leadership is, doing the unpopular thing because it's the right call. Then he pushed for healthcare reform. That was bold. He could have waited until the economy was stronger, but he didn't. He saw his political window and went for it. It turned into a brutal political fight. Republicans refused to play ball, and even Democrats were shaky. He still got it done. The Affordable Care Act wasn't perfect, and the messaging was awful. That keep your plan promise really backfired. But it covered millions of people and stopped insurance companies from abusing customers. It was a huge policy win, even if it cost him politically. I give him credit for taking the hit to get it through. A lot of presidents talk about healthcare. He actually did it. But that fight helped fuel a backlash. The Tea Party exploded in 2010. People were angry about the economy, about spending, about a black president pushing big changes. The midterm elections were a disaster for Democrats. Obama lost the House, and after that, his ability to pass big laws basically died. That changed the whole game. He had to switch from bold legislator to tactical survivor. In between all that, he passed Dodd-Frank, which reined in Wall Street. It didn't go far enough, in my opinion. The big banks were still too powerful, but at least it put some guardrails back in place after decades of deregulation. He also ended Don't Ask, Don't Tell, letting gay troops serve openly. That was long overdue. He moved slower on same-sex marriage, but you could tell his views were shifting. Foreign policy was mixed. He promised to end the Iraq War and followed through. He also surged troops in Afghanistan, which I think he did more out of political pressure than real conviction. It didn't change much. He didn't want to lose the generals or look weak, so he split the difference. The big win came when US forces killed Osama bin Laden. That was a gutsy call. He ordered a risky raid into Pakistan and got it done. That was a real moment of strength, and it reminded people that he wasn't afraid to pull the trigger when it mattered. He also got involved in Libya, joining NATO airstrikes to stop Gaddafi. At first, it looked like a success. Gaddafi was ousted without US boots on the ground, but there was no follow-up plan. Libya fell apart, and a year later, the US ambassador was killed in Benghazi. That tragedy got turned into a political circus, but the truth is the post-war chaos in Libya was on the US and its allies. They broke it and didn't fix it. At home, he had to deal with endless fights over the budget and debt ceiling. Republicans in Congress refused to compromise, and it turned into one crisis after another. The 2011 debt standoff nearly tanked the economy again. Obama looked weak during that fight. He tried too hard to find common ground with people who didn't want a deal. I think he learned the hard way that you can't negotiate with people who'd rather blow things up than govern. He also had to deal with Hurricane Sandy just before the 2012 election. He handled it well, quick response, real leadership. Even Republican Governor Chris Christie praised him. That helped him look competent again at a crucial moment. He won re-election, but not by a huge margin. It was clear the country was divided. His supporters saw him as a steady hand in chaos. His critics saw him as a symbol of everything changing too fast. Looking back, I think his first term was tough, messy, and full of hard decisions. He didn't fix everything, but he kept the country from falling apart and made progress where others had failed. He wasn't flashy, sometimes he over-explained things, but he was calm, focused, and not afraid to take political risks. I don't agree with every call he made, but I respect the way he handled a nearly impossible situation. That first term wasn't perfect, but it was solid and it mattered. Well, alright, looks pretty balanced to be honest, but what about the absolute best move that Barack Obama made during his first term? Any ideas? Up next, I'm going to ask that exact question, and we'll see what chat has to say. But before I do, go ahead and hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and let me know down in the comments if you want more videos like this. It's always easy to just stick to hot topics, but if you're into this kind of experiment, well, I promise there'll be more. We've still got Obama's second term, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, so yeah, there's a whole lot we can get into. Alright, with all of that being said, let's move on to the next part. So, let's see what chat thinks was the best thing Barack Obama did in his first term. And here's the answer. In my opinion, the best thing Obama did during his first term was pass the Affordable Care Act. Not because it was politically popular, it wasn't. Not because it was smooth, it was messy from the start. But because it tackled a broken system that no president before him had been able to seriously fix. He knew it would cost him politically, he knew the backlash was coming, but he went for it anyway. That took guts. Before the ACA, insurance companies could deny you for pre-existing conditions, drop your coverage when you got sick, or charge you whatever they wanted. Millions of Americans had no coverage at all. The ACA didn't solve every problem, far from it, but it gave people security they never had before. Millions of people got coverage, and for the first time, the country had a real foundation to build on. Even Republicans who spent years trying to repeal it eventually gave up because the public got used to the benefits. He took on the healthcare system, won, and changed it permanently. That's a big deal. That's legacy stuff. Okay, well, great. Tell me in the comments if you agree that the ACA was the best thing that Obama did, or perhaps you would pick something else. Now it's time for the worst thing that he did, so let's ask what that was, and here's the answer. The worst thing Obama did in his first term, in my opinion, was how he handled the 2011 debt ceiling crisis. He let Republicans take the economy hostage, and instead of drawing a hard line, he tried to meet them halfway. That backfired. It made him look weak, rattled global markets, led to the US credit rating getting downgraded for the first time in history, and set a terrible precedent that Congress could use the debt ceiling to extract demands with no real consequences. That tactic never went away. I get that he was trying to be the adult in the room, to avoid a default and look like a unifier, but at some point leadership means saying no, especially when the other side is playing games with the full faith and credit of the country. That moment exposed his biggest flaw, thinking reason would win a political knife fight. It didn't, and we've been paying the price for that weakness ever since. Yeah, I mean, probably. As always, you can jump down in the comments and let me know if you agree with that take or not. And now we've reached the part that we're all here for. Let's find out ChatGPT's honest score for Barack Obama's first term from 0 to 10. And here it is. Here's my take. Obama took over at a time when the country was falling apart and he didn't flinch. The economy was in freefall, and while people were screaming for bold leadership, he gave them something rarer: calm, focused action. The stimulus, the auto bailout, and the bank rescue weren't popular, but they kept things from collapsing. That matters. He passed healthcare reform when everyone said it was political suicide. It was messy, but it expanded coverage and finally gave Americans some basic protections. He stayed grounded, avoided drama, and led with discipline. But he wasn't perfect. He spent too much time chasing bipartisanship that was never going to happen. Republicans made it clear early they weren't going to work with him, and yet he kept waiting for common ground. That cost him valuable time. The 2011 debt ceiling crisis made him look weak. That was his worst moment. On foreign policy, he had big wins like bin Laden, but Libya was half-baked. And he left some major promises, like immigration reform, on the table when he had the chance to act. My honest score for Obama's first term? 7.5 out of 10. Not perfect, not transformative in every area, but solid, serious, and more effective than people give him credit for. And there you have it. I mean, honestly, that's a pretty solid score, don't you think? Maybe it just feels high because we're so used to asking it to rate Trump's presidency. I almost forgot numbers above 3 even existed. But let me know in the comments whether or not you agree with this score. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that join button if you want to support the channel directly. Since I brought up Trump, go ahead and click on this playlist where ChatGPT rates every month of his second term, just like it did today. There are already 5 videos up, so if you haven't seen them yet, I'm honestly a little bit jealous because you've got a great hour ahead of you. As always, thanks for watching, click on that playlist, and I'll be waiting for you there.